Hey guys, I'm Dylan,
I'm Gabe.
and this is Rebels Connect.
Welcome back, Star Wars fans. Today we're going to be talking about our favorite Star Wars movies in the Skywalker saga. This is from worst to best. This is in just our opinion, so please don't get frustrated. We will have some hot takes, unpopular opinions, so please be prepared. And yeah, Dylan, you can start us off.
Coming in at number 11 for me is The Last Jedi. You know, there's not a lot I like about this movie. There's a lot of problems I have with it. The treatment of Luke, how they changed Finn, and how they mistreated Finn, because this is the movie where they started to mistreat Finn. Rise of Skywalker completely trashed Finn, and the whole casino scene. There's a good 45 minutes of this movie that I just think was useless. You know, I respect the cinematography from Rian Johnson. I respect that he tried doing something different and being unique, but I just can't stand this movie. The throne room fight with Kylo and the Praetorian Guards and Rey, that was dope. But everything else, this is not my movie.
Coming at number 11 for me is easily The Phantom Menace. This is just like, no, bro. Like, Jar Jar Binks, please never again. If there's one thing us Star Wars fans can at least agree on, is definitely Jar Jar Binks being one of the worst characters, if not the worst character in Star Wars. And I just don't like how corny it is. And, you know, I respect the creativity that George Lucas was going for. And I respect the Duel of Fates fight in the end. That's probably the best scene in the whole entire movie. There's some good parts in the movie that I like, that I've grown to appreciate. But just all in all, it's just not a movie that it's easy for me to just sit down and put, hey, let's put The Phantom Menace. That's just my opinion. But yeah, that's coming in last for me, and it will probably stay last.
Coming in at number 10 for me is Attack of the Clones. Another one that, you know, I just didn't really enjoy. I enjoyed the last maybe hour, 45 minutes of it, the Battle of Geonosis, Count Dooku and Yoda, and Count Dooku versus Anakin and Obi-Wan. But, you know, the first hour and a half of the movie is just sappy, love, like romance with Padme and Anakin. All the lines are really cheesy. I can barely watch the first hour and a half. And usually when I decide to rewatch the whole trilogy, I honestly sometimes skip this movie just because I can't stand it. But there's not a lot to like about this movie, not a lot of positive outcomes. The only positive outcome is maybe the introduction of Hayden Christensen as Anakin, but there's not a lot I like about this movie. So that's why it's at number 10 for me.
Coming at number 10 for me is also what he put, Attack of the Clones. I've come to like this movie a little bit more. After rewatching it, I actually did like it. It's pretty good. Like what he said, the beginning is kind of, what does this have to do with anything? The Anakin and Padme relationship is pretty corny. Not really to do there. That's different. Their chemistry, Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen, is just not the strongest, and like it wasn't the best. Natalie Portman is a great actress, and this here didn't really show. But the Battle of Geonosis, like what he said, that was a major plus there. I used to play that stuff all the time when I used to play Lego Star Wars. That was a big W for me. I like the introduction of Jango Fett. I like that storyline in there. But yeah, a lot of corny acting, which is my issue with The Phantom Menace. But there are some more plus sides to this one. But that's just my opinion, and that's number 10 for me.
Number 9 for me is The Force Awakens. I've made it vocal with my friends and other places that I'm not the biggest fan of the sequels, like a lot of people. Disney, the only thing I respect from Disney and Star Wars is Rogue One, Solo, and Mandalorian, and Rebels, but that's it's a TV show.
Yeah.
Force Awakens, you know, it just really felt like a remake of the whole entire original trilogy all in one movie. And not that I can't respect that, I just think they should have taken it another route. We're going to be doing future videos on what we would change about the sequels, each movie individually. So I'll get more into it. But I remember there's a lot of nostalgia. Even though it was just 6 years ago, there's a lot of nostalgia that comes with this movie for me. I remember watching the trailer for the first time when it dropped, how crazy that was for everybody, and it going viral, obviously. Force Friday, when all the merchandise dropped, going to Target, Toys R Us, Walmart, just everywhere to get all the new merchandise, all the little figures, the shirts, just everything. So going to see it in theaters for 5 times. I saw it in AMC, IMAX, Dolby Theater. I saw it everywhere I possibly could, but it's just not my favorite, you know. And to start off the sequels, I think it was a little bit weak. I think they really missed an opportunity with Finn in this one. Not in this one because Finn was good. I liked Finn in Force Awakens, but after this, I think they really missed an opportunity with him. So that's number 9 for me.
Number 9 for me is The Rise of Skywalker. My main issues with this movie is the lack of potential and actually the wasted potential of this movie that it had. When I first watched it, I actually enjoyed it, but after really putting my thought into it, it didn't really make sense. Even the title throws you off. Like, it's really not what the title really means. Rey isn't a Skywalker, as also told in that movie. And the end scene is really corny, really cringy, and pretty hard to watch. If you watch a YouTube video of an live audience reaction to it in the movie theater, they just groan and they're so upset. Like, it's just not the best. And you can tell that they restricted J.J. Abrams from his creative thought process really heavily. And if that's the problem with the sequels, it's really playing the really basic card. And I don't like that. And it was really predictable. I don't know why they ruined Finn and his storyline. I'll get into that later. But I have a lot of issues with that movie, especially with the wasted potential. I don't understand the really bringing back of Palpatine. I don't really like that. I don't like Rey being a Palpatine. But other than that, I like the visuals in the movie. I like the cinematography, obviously. And actually, one of the positives I like is how they incorporated Leia. I didn't think Leia was going to be in that movie that much. And the visuals and how they made her look computer generated. I don't know if she filmed a good portion of it. Carrie Fisher did before she unfortunately passed away.
They used unused scenes.
Oh, new scenes?
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably why. She had a bigger role than I actually thought she was going to have. And that was pretty cool. That's one of the positives. But other than that, definitely one on the bad side of... that's definitely my least favorite sequel.
Number 8 for me is Solo: A Star Wars Story. I love this movie. Seeing Lando and Han are 2 of my favorite characters in the whole entire Skywalker saga. So seeing them young and a different story on them and a different perspective, seeing how they were introduced to each other was awesome. And this cast was perfectly casted. Woody Harrelson as Tobias Beckett, Alden as Han, Donald Glover, Childish Gambino as Lando, Kira, Emily Clark,
Elizabeth Clark, Emily Clark,
something like that. She did a great job as Kira. Seeing Darth Maul again, you know, the cinematography in this movie. I love the way they introduced the title when they were leaving. I can't remember the name of the planet they were on, but Han and Kira were leaving the planet they were on, and Solo: Star Wars Story came up. This movie was really well done. Props to Ron Howard because he wasn't the original director. This movie had a lot of problems and was on the verge of getting canceled, but Ron Howard came in and saved it. Did a very good job. So that's number 8 for me.
Yeah, actually, number 8 for me is the same one. For me, right now, there's no misses for me at this point. The rest on my list is just really good movies, but unfortunately, this one's just not as good as the other ones. And I think the backlash this movie got was reception from The Last Jedi, which I will get into later, but I really enjoyed this movie a lot. This was a really fun movie, really funny movie. I loved Alden as Han Solo. There were some moments I'm like, this is exactly what Harrison Ford would do. And I really believe like he was a younger version of him. Woody Harrelson, like what he said as Beckett, was phenomenal. Kira was also really good. Again, I believe her name is Emilia Clarke or something like that. Great actress from Game of Thrones. A really fun movie. Chewbacca. Seeing Chewbacca and Han again is just amazing. Really fun, funny movie, and I really enjoyed it. And when I first watched it, I thought it was good. I watched it again recently with my father, and I thought it was amazing. It was really funny, and I had a great time watching it. I'd definitely keep rewatching it, and it's definitely one of the best Star Wars movies I've seen in a while. But yeah, that's my number 8.
Coming in at 7 for me is The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. This, I've got a bunch of different opinions on, and again, we're going to be getting into our version of the sequels in future videos. But this movie, I really think they really restricted JJ with what he wanted to do, and that's why Colin Trevorrow, who was the original director for it, left. I've watched the videos and I've read his original script. It was going to be called Duel of the Fates. And the stuff he had was awesome. It would have been a great movie. And, you know, I don't think it's a bad movie, but I don't think it's the right way to end the Skywalker saga. I'm a big Ben Solo fan, big Kylo Ren fan. He's my favorite character from the sequels. I've read all the comics, The Rise of Kylo Ren, and seeing Ben Solo as a young kid with Luke and all that kind of stuff. So getting to see Ben Solo redeemed was awesome, but it was for like 10 minutes.
Adam Driver's a goat.
Adam Driver is arguably the best actor in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. In the series or in the franchise?
The whole franchise. That might be a hot take.
Actually, I don't know. That's actually a pretty good take, in my opinion.
I've heard a lot of people say that. Adam Driver
Harrison Ford's up there.
Harrison Ford, Ewan McGregor. That's top 3 for me.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good list. I agree with that. But yeah, back to the original.
So seeing Ben Solo for 10, 15 minutes redeemed and then died. I mean, Ben Solo is the last Skywalker. His mom is literally Leia Skywalker. I mean, Rey is not a Skywalker. Like, I mean, I get why they did it to an extent, but Ben Solo should have lived. Whether Rey died and Ben Solo kept the Skywalker name going, or they both lived, I don't know. But
it's just a predictable route.
It was a predictable route to go. Because I said before Rise of Skywalker, I didn't think Ben Solo was going to come back, but I told my brother, I'm like, Kylo Ren's going to die. And then when Rey stabbed him, I was like, oh, look at that. And then she redeemed him with the Force, which I still don't understand because Obi-Wan could have done that with Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Anakin could have done that with his mother and Pad. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's just not a lot.
Plot holes.
Yeah, exactly. Plot holes. That's a big problem with the sequels. And the prequels as well.
And the prequels. Oh, I forgot to mention about the prequels.
Yeah. But that's number 7 for me, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Number 7 for me is a masterpiece in my opinion. And I would rank this higher, but the movies will have above rank for more nostalgic reasons, and I just like some of the cinematography more. But Rogue One is simply just a masterpiece. A great movie. Darth Vader in that movie holds such a big role in that movie. He saved the ending, and the ending, when it leads on to A New Hope, is so amazing. I remember watching it, I'm like, I'm going to get home, put on New Hope, and just sit back and relax, because that's just a perfect lead on to it. Also seeing Darth Vader absolutely murder, 7 people in one room in that hallway scene, especially where he lights up his lights. Oh my God, goosebumps. Also, I love the acting in that movie. Director Krennic, phenomenal acting. I loved him as the main antagonist. I forgot her name for the main character, but all the other actors, phenomenal. Great movie, great script. Definitely, when it comes to the sequels and just Disney era Star Wars, definitely probably the best plot in all of Star Wars, in my opinion, in the sequel generation. But great movie, cinematography phenomenal, the colors amazing, and the acting again phenomenal. But yeah, that's just my opinion. That's number 7, and back to Dylan.
Coming in at number 6 for me is The Phantom Menace. Might be an unpopular opinion, hot take.
It is.
But, you know, my only real problem with this movie is Jar Jar, obviously, like everybody else. I understand why Lucas included Jar Jar because, you know, this movie released in, 1999, I believe. And during this time, comedy was really bursting onto the scene and becoming popular. So I think he really just included Jar Jar for comedic relief. But it just didn't fit. It didn't work. Jar Jar does not fit in the Star Wars universe. And that's why his role was cut down in the next 2 films.
Heavily.
George realized that everybody hated it. But, you know, this movie, I think Jake Lloyd did a decent job as Anakin. I've watched the casting videos for Anakin, and I think the other options for Anakin were a little bit better. It could have been casted a little bit differently, but I definitely respect this movie. Qui-Gon's one of my favorite characters of all time. Top 3 Jedi for me, without a doubt. I just finished reading Master and Apprentice, which was a book centered around a mission that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon went on before Phantom Menace, and it gives you another look at Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon is just a phenomenal character. Duel of the Fates, you know, in that movie, the pod racing scene. I don't hate this movie like a lot of people do. I don't enjoy it as much as the other ones, but I don't hate it like a lot of other people do. And I don't have, my main problem with it is really just Jar Jar. So that's why it's at number 6 for me.
Wait, what's your top 3 Jedis then?
Anakin, Luke, Qui-Gon.
Respectable. I wouldn't throw Qui-Gon in. I love Qui-Gon, but He's still good. And also, the pod racing is actually a benefit to Phantom Menace. That was a really big scene for me when I was a kid. I actually loved watching that. It was actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie, other than Duel of Fates. But I love that part of the movie, so that's actually a benefit to that one. So that's a great part of the movie. But back to my number 6, I believe, is The Force Awakens. And this is a pretty much disrespected movie, especially by him. I love this movie. For the past couple years, I actually started to lose respect for it because I started to realize the similarities between it and A New Hope, and actually some of the similarities in other parts of the rest of the trilogy. I like when people are creative, especially with movies, and that's why I kind of lost respect for it. But I rewatched it a couple weeks ago, and I actually found my love for it how it was 6 years ago. And I remember watching the trailer for it actually in this living room right here. I got so hyped, me and my dad. And it was just a really memorable moment, especially in pop culture, American pop culture. And it was a big moment for me. And I watched that movie at least 5 times in the theaters when it came out. And it was a great movie. I like Finn. I still think it would have been a really dope line or plot for the rest of the trilogy to have Finn as the main Jedi. Like, just think about it, like a stormtrooper who's conflicted with the Force or has a pathway to the Force and turns from a stormtrooper to a Jedi Knight. Like, that's something we never heard of. That'd be really dope. And I feel like they could have done something a lot better with that. No disrespect to Rey, even though I see a lot of people on social media hate Rey all of a sudden. I don't hate her. She's pretty cool and she's all right. I just don't like how powerful she is, especially in The Force Awakens. I don't know how she just weirdly just beats Kylo Ren. Just all of a sudden, she just breathes in and out and just all of a sudden has this power. I just don't agree with that, but it's a great movie. It's fun, and it was definitely a really, really amazing start to the sequels. And yeah, that's my number 6, and I hope y'all don't attack me for that, but yeah.
Coming in at number 5 for me is Rogue One. I love this movie. From here on out, these are all hits for me, no misses. I love all these movies. I don't have any problems with any of these movies. You know, Rogue One, without a doubt, the best story and plot Disney has put out since they purchased Star Wars.
Agree.
In the movies, at least, excluding Mandalorian, Rebels.
The GOAT.
Shout out Mandalorian. I love how every character got their own arc, their own introduction, had their own unique story. You know, Chirrut, K2, SO, Cassian, Jin. The complete opposite of what Suicide Squad was. I'm not going to get into that, but Suicide Squad was the complete opposite. The Vader scenes, seeing him in the meditation chamber, seeing him with Krennic, then the hallway scene, just phenomenal. I got goosebumps watching it in the theaters. You know, obviously it's not going to happen because Disney owns Star Wars, but if Lucasfilm was its own thing still, I think seeing a rated R Vader film would have been phenomenal because the things that guy did in comics, legends, and books, insane. Him in the flesh, some of the stuff he did, he was a sicko. Let me tell you that. Seeing that on a big screen would be dope, but I mean, it's not going to happen anymore.
Well,
obviously, I mean,
we kind of got a glimpse because that scene was
a glimpse.
violent.
That was a glimpse at him in the flesh.
He even sliced some dude in half. Remember when he put the
guy in the ceiling?
Like that. That was a little glimpse right there. That'd be a dope movie
for sure.
But you know, it's Disney, so you know they don't really mess in that realm. Obviously, for marketing reasons, they want all people to see it. More money. We kind of got a glimpse of it, and that's a really dope part of the movie. But yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah. My number 5, I may get a lot of hate for this, maybe in the comment section, but my number 5 is The Last Jedi. Now, before you leave the video, because I said this, it's just, I respect how it goes away from the basic Star Wars film and the blueprint for a basic Star Wars film. Nobody came into that movie expecting for Luke to be how he was in that film, which is a lot of people's issues with it. And I like the theme of it, which is to let the past die and move on and make a new future for yourself. And I love that because a lot of you Star Wars fans can't get over the fact of how amazing the originals were and the magic that it caught. You're never going to get that magic again. And if it does, I prop the makers who make it, but that's just a once-in-a-lifetime type thing that changed the game. So just move on and accept what the new things are. I love that theme of that movie. I love the throne fight. What are you saying? The throne room fight with Kylo and Rey, where they teamed up and badassery and just absolutely went mayhem. I love the cinematography in this movie. There's some scenes that I see. I'm like, it's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful movie. I like how unexpected it was. I do agree. There are some parts in the movie that really need to be made, and I don't like how they treated Finn in it, and Finn for the rest of the trilogy. But it was a great movie. It's definitely my favorite out of the sequels, and I might get hate for that, but I think this movie's gonna age very well, and I think that people are gonna respect it from now on. Also, I respect how they made Rey a nobody, and that was bashed on when it came out. Actually, that was bashed on. People were like, "Oh, you made us wait," which is understandable because they made it like a big thing in The Force Awakens just for it to be nothing. But when after going on it, it makes a lot of sense. You don't have to be somebody, and I love that plot line, and they should have kept it, and unfortunately they didn't. But that's for a whole nother story. But yeah, that's my number 5, and I hope you don't hate me for that. But yeah,
Coming at number 4 for me is Episode 4, A New Hope. I don't have a lot to say about this one. It's a beautiful movie. It started this whole entire thing that is such a big part of my life. We have a YouTube channel about this now.
Yeah.
It's such a big part of so many people's lives, and it changed film and cinema forever. Seeing Luke go from a farm boy to being in the mix with the Empire and the Rebels is one of the greatest stories in film history. Vader and Obi-Wan, one of the last scenes of the movie where Vader and Obi-Wan reunite and Vader kills Obi-Wan. When Obi-Wan looks over and sees Luke and Leia, his former brother, his former Padawan, his former best friends, 2 kids that have been in hiding for almost 20 years, being separated from each other. He sees them together for the first time, and he gives that quick smirk. And he knows he's proud, and he knows what they're about to do, and that they're about to change everything. And then, Vader chops him in half, and he disappears. But just a beautiful movie from start to finish, and it started this whole entire thing. So I respect it so much. That's number 4 for me.
Oh yeah, coming at number 4 for me. This one is kind of controversial, but it's not at the same time because I have a lot of issues with this movie, and that's Revenge of the Sith. Listen. The acting is not the best, especially in this clip right here. That's not the best. It's just really corny. There's a lot of corny scenes. I absolutely don't, still to this day, understand the thought process of that's why Anakin automatically just turns to the dark side. I just disagree with it. I still don't understand it. I don't like how Padme dies of a broken heart. It's really cheesy, corny. This is Star Wars. It's not no low budget movie. This is Star Wars. It's just really corny. What saves it for me was how nostalgic it was for me when I was growing up. The duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin, how much that meant, the iconic lines. I know some of the lines by heart. You could just turn off subtitles. I can just spit it bar for bar, word for word, bar for bar. And it's like just second nature. I like General Grievous. I like some of the action. I love a lot of the action scenes in there. I love the beginning intros, action scenes. Just a lot of nostalgia for me, and that's what puts it out there. And I love this movie. It's definitely the best prequel by far, without a doubt. So, and it was a big childhood memory for me. And again, I have a lot of issues with it, but it's still top 5 for me. And again, this is my favorite. And if this was the best movies, I'd probably put it a little lower, unpopular opinion, because it's not when it comes to movie wise, it's not the best. But yeah, that's just my opinion, and that's my number 4.
Coming in at number 3 for me is Empire Strikes Back. Now, this, I think, is the best Star Wars movie, but it's not my favorite. I go back and forth with 3 and 2 all the time. I'll get into 2 next. Empire Strikes Back, it's just phenomenal and beautiful from start to finish. The character arcs for everybody. Luke getting introduced to Lando, one of my favorite characters ever. Han and Leia's romance, Palpatine, Vader, just everybody. Phenomenal movie. And it's one of the greatest movies and just films in general of all time. There's so much respect there. There's so much nostalgia. And we got one of the most iconic lines and scenes ever with Vader and Luke. I love this movie, and I can watch it any day, over and over again. I can't even tell you guys how many times I've watched this movie. Yeah. That's number 3 for me.
Yeah, number 3 for me. In my opinion, this is the second best Star Wars film. It is number 3 when it comes to favorite, which is Episode 4, A New Hope. This movie changed the game forever, the movie industry forever. About this movie, there isn't a lot of the sci-fi movies like this nowadays, especially when it comes to special effects. This was a really big influence on special effects. But it's just the basic good versus evil storyline, and it just worked. I mean, it's just nothing that anybody expected. It changed the game, as I said before, and it holds a really nostalgic place in my heart. My father, who was born in Puerto Rico and was raised in Puerto Rico, He remembers the line for watching the movie. He made sure that he loved it all just off the gate, and he made sure to put that in his children's life when he had children. And I'm blessed that he did, because it's an amazing franchise, and it started such an amazing franchise and trilogy, and definitely probably a staple, if not the staple of American culture, especially American film culture. It is the basic, oh, ever seen Star Wars? Star Wars, it's American culture right there when it comes to film. And you can even make a case for film in general. Yeah, iconic, some of the most iconic scores ever, some of the most iconic lines ever. It's just top to bottom. This movie's just a classic, like, without a doubt. And that's number 3 for me. And yeah, it's just amazing.
Number 2 for me is Return of the Jedi, Episode 6. This one is another one with a lot of nostalgia. I watched this movie so many times. It was my favorite. I wouldn't say it's the best out of the original trilogy, but it's definitely my favorite. Seeing Luke as a Jedi Knight in that outfit is fire. Yoda and him, Obi-Wan coming back as a Force ghost and talking about how Leia is his sister. The arc between just all the characters in this movie. Another one just like Empire Strikes Back. The final 15 minutes of that movie with Luke burning Vader and Anakin becoming a Force ghost. I read a book recently about the rise and fall of Vader, and it talks about how Anakin becomes a Force ghost, because that confused me for a while, how he became a Force ghost so quickly. Seeing Luke, the whole galaxy celebrate the fall of the Empire, and then seeing Luke look over his shoulder at the 3 most influential people in his life, his 2 masters, and his father, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and his father, Anakin, as a Force ghost was just beautiful. The Ewoks, I think the Ewoks are dope. I love Endor. Endor's a beautiful planet. I love this movie from start to finish.
Yeah, my number 2 is the same thing as his. Return of the Jedi, classic, really nostalgic for me. That was kind of like, when I was younger, when I thought of Star Wars, that was my first thought, Return of the Jedi. Because first of all, I loved seeing Jedi Knight Luke. His outfit, phenomenal. The glove is still so iconic to me, in my opinion. And that's how I knew in The Mandalorian when that happened. If you haven't watched it, spoilers alert, that's how I knew it was him. And it's just iconic, super nostalgic. Growing up in my apartment when I was younger, I used to watch that all the time. It was a really big thing for me. I love the beginning scene in Jabba the Hutt's palace. I love that. I also love the Ewoks, which up till today, I didn't know that they were actually hated, or they actually got a lot of hate. I don't know why. I love them. They're so adorable and they're awesome. It was a great segment. I loved the scenes with Palpatine, how it ended, how Vader turned back to the light side. Classic, obviously. The bomb that Leia was is Luke's sister. Perfect end to end. The ending scene, like what he described, another underrated part of that is the score. Again, John Williams does not miss. That score is amazing. Ewok Celebration, beautiful, beautiful ending to a beautiful trilogy, and probably the most iconic trilogy in movie history. I don't know if I'm missing something. Oh, probably The Godfather. You could probably throw that in there. When it comes to sci-fi, that's definitely the most iconic end of a trilogy ever. So yeah, that's my number 2, and now back to Dylan for number 1.
Coming in at number 1 for me is Revenge of the Sith. This movie means so much to me. I've watched it over 100 times, like for real. The opening scene is probably my first, if not second favorite opening scene in all of every movie I've ever watched, maybe aside from Dark Knight.
That's a classic.
Yeah, just everything about this movie, it means so much to me. I rely on, I don't rely on it, but whenever I'm feeling down or I'm going through something, I can just turn this on and it'll cheer me up, and I'll recite the lines by myself. And seeing Dooku in the beginning toy with Anakin, and Anakin toying with the dark side, and Dooku calling that out, and then Dooku getting his head chopped off, and that
his surprise.
Yeah, that face he made because he didn't think that was going to happen. Grievous versus Obi-Wan, Order 66, seeing seeing Anakin Anakin go into the Vader suit for the first time, Obi-Wan versus Anakin on Battle of Mustafar. There's not a lot of movies that make me feel like good. This is a feel-good movie for me. And Hayden Christensen played Anakin perfectly. To
an extent.
He filled that role perfectly, and I cannot wait to see him in the Kenobi series return as Anakin and Darth Vader. Definitely number 1 for me. I don't think any Star Wars movie is going to beat this for a while. This is definitely my favorite, without a doubt.
When my dad watches this, he's going to clench his eyes in his fist, because they are not the biggest fan of Hayden Christensen. And my issue with him is actually, I don't think he's a bad actor. I just think it was the script. I think George Lucas' vision was maybe to overact and I think that's why he did that. But no disrespect to him, I still think Revenge of the Sith is an amazing movie. So, but my number one is one of the best movies ever made, Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5. Everything about this movie is iconic. Even the opening scene in Hoth, classic. In my opinion, the best score in movie history, from Darth Vader's theme. Actually, no, the Imperial March, that's what it's called. It's probably the most iconic theme ever. Han and Leia's relationship, super charming and stuff. It was just amazing, and this movie, top to bottom, is just perfect. Like what he said, the character arcs are beautiful. A great introduction to Yoda and his wisdom, and he's... Like, when you try to look for wisdom, just go to Yoda. Like, he has some of the best lines ever when it comes to that. And just beautiful movie. Some of the locations, some of the sets, just beautiful. Eye candy, especially it's just so ahead of its time. It was so ahead of its time. And some of the most iconic scenes ever, especially, you know the scene I'm talking about. And that's why I love The Last Jedi so much, because nobody expected that. Nobody came in the theater saying, oh, I bet you Luke is Darth Vader's son. Nobody expected that at all. That's why I respect it even more. And again, another nostalgic movie. It's my dad's favorite movie of all time. It just holds a really deep place in my heart. I will never lose respect for this movie. And it's, in my opinion, probably the top 10 movie of all time. So that's just my opinion. And that's it for today. Yeah, we're gonna keep putting out more content for y'all. Please like and subscribe. Please check out our website called Rebels Connect.
Got a new article coming out tomorrow on Finn and how he should have been treated differently in the sequels. So check that out. Put the link in the description for the website there. But yeah.
You want to restart the outro because I kind of stuttered.
I mean, we have to now because you
just...
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you all for watching. That's it for today. I hope you agree with our opinions, or if you disagree, please let us know in the comments section. Like and subscribe. We have more content for y'all coming out soon. Yeah, thank you for watching, and anything left to say?
Nope. We'll see you guys in the next video. Appreciate it.
Peace.